Coming to you live for the Build Forward Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason and Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you're on the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. The run came to an end on Saturday night in Indiana. The New York Knicks are eliminated. We turn our focus to the offseason. I know I will not be paying attention to the NBA Finals. I don't care at this point. I care about what the Knicks are going to do the next couple of months. There's going to be talk about Tom Thibodeau. They better keep Tom Thibodeau. There's going to be talk about what Leon Rose does. He's got a huge offseason ahead of him to try to make this team better, to get back to where they were this year and then further. But yeah, this was another brutal watch if you are a Knicks fan. The Pacers look more organized. The Pacers look more energetic. The Knicks look sloppy again and just look like they got run out of the building and ran out of gas. But this was great. This was the first time that we had seen this in 25 years. This is not going to be a straight-up negative, angry morning for me, at the very least. But, yeah, it was frustrating going into this series being a favorite, being up the way they were in Game 1, thinking you had a clear path to the finals, then getting beat by the Pacers. Yeah, that's annoying, but I think when we step back from this in a few days, we're going to realize how special this was, because this doesn't come along a lot for the New York Knicks and their fans. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I will say this, for those of us who are Knicks fans, you and I included, we did accomplish something, and I think it's out there for everybody in plain sight to see. And that is, we as a fan base are the most hated fan base in any major sport in this country.
I think at this very moment, yes.
No, we've overtaken the Eagle fan base. We have. The Eagle fan base was the most hated. And now I think the Knicks fan base is more hated than any other fan base in America. And I have never seen such great joy and vitriol just actually thrown our way as opposed to the players' way. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many people just taking shots at whether it be Ben Stiller or Spike Lee or just a general Knicks fan in what we saw, in the celebrations after beating the Celtics. I don't know if a lot of this stuff is coming from Boston, but I was overwhelmed just reading it on Sunday morning, just reading everything about how everybody in the NBA universe was so happy the Knicks had lost. So we as a fan base basically accomplished something. So we are officially, in my eyes at least, the most hated fan base in all of professional sports. I can't even think of another one that is remotely close other than the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that once football season starts up again, and then the Eagles fans will take their rightful throne. But as we sit here this morning, you're right. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do, we know the reasons why. The reasons are that the fan base, because it had been down for so long, was celebrating things that other fan bases don't normally celebrate, like second-round series victories in the streets, like they won a championship. And other people look at that and say that's pathetic. You do stuff like that when you win a championship, not when you win a second round. The fact that you got celebrities everywhere and people can't stand celebrities for whatever reason. They really hate celebrities that aren't rooting for their team. So you've got that, and just the overall disdain for New York that the rest of the country has. It's all wrapped up in that. Yeah.
So Knicks fans, we wake up this morning on a Monday morning. I just wanted to reiterate that we are the biggest or the most hated fan base in all of professional sports, and I'm proud to say I'm a part of that. To get to the game on Saturday night, two things really irked me about this particular game, and we talked about it going into the game. And the two things were they have to be careful with the basketball, and they have to hustle back on defense. And I have to tell you, it's embarrassing watching the turnovers, and as many turnovers Jalen Brunson had. Look, I love him. He's great. I want him to stay here. He's an awesome basketball player. He's given us something we haven't had in 50 years. So I'm all in on Jalen Brunson. But his performance and his lackadaisical performance, both in 5 and 6, and what I'm talking about is whether it was throwing the ball in bounds or trying to receive an inbounds pass from Mitchell Robinson in Game 5, or just indiscriminately throwing the ball away or dribbling into a double team and losing it that way. That's not winning basketball. That's not championship basketball, especially with the way that they were treating him. So that's one thing. And that also goes along with Karl Anthony Towns. the other thing was not getting back on the breakouts. I mean, how many, like, I know Obi Toppin was a Knick, and I know that they didn't keep him here because they had Julius Randle, who seemed to be ascending to becoming one of the better basketball players in the league. And then they ship off Obi Toppin. But Obi Toppin would have been a great addition to this basketball team on the bench. And I know they were worried about salary structure and, extending Obi and where that money was going to lead and what that was going to keep them from doing. So Leon Rose, you have to take the good with the bad. But every time I saw him breaking out and dunking the basketball with nobody around him, just told me just how lazy the Knicks were on defense. And then, quite frankly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. I hope you can help me because, I know you're a purist when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, I'm a basketball purist. That's what people walk around.
And here's the only reason I'm saying he is soft is because I think he's lazy on defense, and that is Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, just the amount of open threes when he's involved in a pick and roll and the amount of, space. And Van Gundy kept saying it. I mean, I don't know how many more times he can say it. Yeah, and I know Knick fans hate hearing that crap, but that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you either get involved on defense or you don't. And at 7 foot, you get your ass and you get your hand up in front of the guy who's shooting a 3-point play. I mean, so those are the things that I kind of took out of Game 6 that really, really bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't want to take away from where they ascended to the conference championship because it's something that we haven't seen, and they have gotten progressively better under Leon Rose. And then the other thing I'm finally going to say, and this is about Tom Thibodeau. I played for the Jets for 3 years. I had 3 coaches, 3 offensive systems, 150 players per year felt like were coming through the door. And that's why, for the longest time that I've been sitting here for 18 years, I preach stability and patience with coaching staffs and coaches. And when you recognize you got a one that actually spends time in the office, watches tape, interacts with his team, is never an embarrassment to your organization, is not out playing golf every goddamn day, doing something else that he shouldn't be doing, and is a basketball lifer, you don't let those guys go unless you see something where the players aren't listening. And that is not the case with Tom Thibodeau. So I am a supporter of his. I don't want to hear anybody calling in this morning, get rid of the coach, get this, that. Shut up. At the end of the day, the team is stabilized, and that's the most important aspect. And now it's up to Leon Rose to figure out who to keep, who to get rid of, and how to manage his salary cap, because I think like 93 or 94% of the money is tied into the top 5 players. And that's not going to be easy to move those players, especially if Mikal Bridges is going to want a contract extension with 1 year left on his deal.
All right, so I'm going to tie in a couple of your points in there together, and I'm with you. This is not a Tibbs situation. This is not his fault. He shouldn't pay the price for any of this. But the biggest issue that the Knicks have going forward to get to the next level is the fact that they waited and waited and waited to go all in on a couple of guys, and the biggest one being Karl Anthony Towns. And they went and they traded for him, and he's making $50 million a year, and at the core, he's a loser. That is their biggest problem. The guy is a loser. He's a losing player. He complains. He is soft. He shows you flashes where he's the best player on the court. Not enough. He doesn't play enough defense. He bitches and moans. He is, up until this point in his career, a loser who is making $50 million, who is going to be a logjam as far as them trying to get to the next level.
His shot selection on Saturday night was insane.
I mean, he is getting to the point now as one of the most frustrating players I have ever watched in the uniform of a team that I root for, because I know how good he can be. And it's just so damn annoying watching him not realize his full potential. And I don't know if it'll ever happen. I really don't know. I mean, maybe because there's more eyes on him here as a New York Knick than there ever was in his career, that some of this stuff is going to get to him a little bit more, and he's going to want to put that work in the offseason and fix some of these horrible things that he does on the court and his sloppy bullcrap basketball, and turns into the dominant player that he needs to be. But that is their biggest issue, is the fact that they thought this Towns thing was going to work better than it did, and it hasn't.
Well, I mean, the conference championship. I can't discount.
But you know
where
what I
they've
mean.
got-
I
they-
understand.
know.
We can't just keep going back to that. You know what I mean. We're talking about going forward now. Yes,
And
just like
there's only one guy that you're going to be able to change out with him, and that's going to be Giannis. And that's
I don't even think
be,
that's a possibility. Yet.
That's what I'm saying. They are, in my mind, as we sit here this morning, I think they're stuck with Karl Anthony Towns, and he's either got to be better because they're not going to be able to move him. And if everybody's talking about, Giannis is available, he's going to bitch his way out of Milwaukee. I mean, you would have to trade, I don't know, you would have to trade Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, and probably Deuce McBride, maybe. And then, I don't know, some draft pick in the future.
I mean, they barely have any picks left after the Bridges deal. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily know that can happen. As much as it would be great for it to happen, I don't see it happening. The only other person that, and I don't really want him here, would be Kevin Durant. But that's not that. I don't think that's going to. I don't know what that's going to do because he doesn't play defense either.
No, he doesn't, and that's a huge issue too. I mean, Jalen Brunson gives you everything every single night, every single minute, and he's not perfect, but you can deal with his lack of defense. I can't deal with Karl Anthony Towns' lack of defense when he's so inconsistent, and that's really the most frustrating thing. And I don't know if he is capable of being anything other than this. And that is the biggest issue. He's a $50 million player, an all-star, and someone who helped the Knicks get one step forward. But it's not about that anymore. The next step next year is the NBA Finals. And then it's breaking this 50-year championship drought. And he's just not a guy I see in a parade float. I don't think he has it in him. Now, Jalen Brunson does. Josh Hart does. OG Anunoby does. Those guys do. But Karl Anthony Towns is such a huge part of what this team should be, and he doesn't have it. So that's the thing that scares me going forward. And the fact that Brunson and him never were able to really find a partnership together is the entire year. Like, never really were in sync or in concert or whatever you want to say. I mean, that's alarming as well. Now, does an offseason fix that? Does another bunch of regular season games fix that? I'm not sure. I hope.
Well, you hope what you hope is that another year together is going to work out better for them. But I'm telling you, just the maddening turnovers by Jalen Brunson, especially in both Game 5 and Game 6. I mean, those things really frustrated me. And I know he's got the ball in his hands 85% of the time, but I also looked like Tibbs decided to have Mikal Bridges bringing the ball up just to get Brunson's a little bit of a break from the 75-foot pressure.
Well, I mean, and that had a lot to do with it, obviously. Yeah. I mean, they were wearing him down. They had a better plan to deal with the Knicks stars than the Knicks had to deal with their stars. I mean, there was really only one game in which Tyrese Halliburton was completely shut down, and it felt like there was a way to kind of slow him down, but that was really more on him, Halliburton, than it was what the Knicks were doing to him. So, yeah, I mean, I think that Rick Carlisle did a better job than Tibbs coaching in this series, but I still think Tibbs has got to be the coach. He has to remain to be the coach. It's going to be tweaks to the roster. It's going to be getting deeper. It's going to be getting your main guys to be more committed defensively, and then just cleaning up some of the sloppy basketball. I mean, and that's a lot of things that I just mentioned there, but we're at a point now where it's just not good enough to be good.
I keep hearing people talking about depth. Well, they do have depth, but the problem is that Tibbs doesn't play that depth. Even during the regular season, he doesn't like to play a lot of guys in games. But, there are some young guys in this roster that, deserve an opportunity, I think, just from going through this experience this year. Whether or not they'll play a little bit more next year, only time will tell. Like we saw what happened with Obi Toppin here. He was a first-round draft pick. They thought that they had something special, really athletic, high-flying, guy that could, just run with anybody on the basketball court. And we're seeing that flourish in Indiana. I'm not saying that he should have been a starter, but, could you imagine him coming off the bench for the Knicks? And they decided to get nothing for him. They literally got nothing for him.
No, I know. It was something like a second-round pick. But, I mean, this is another one of those conversations where Rick Carlisle and the way that they play basketball in Indiana fit him perfectly.
I understand that. And
he wasn't this player then when they traded him.
I know. And you know why? Because he was young. Neither was Porzingis. Porzingis wasn't the player that he turned out to be, but Porzingis ended up, has a history of injuries. And when you draft young guys and you try to develop them, you got to go through like a lot of these like frustrating moments, and then all of a sudden it clicks and they turn into something. But I don't want to. I'm not saying that they should have kept Obi Toppin now after the fact. I'm saying that when they're making decisions, he is kind of blocked by Julius Randle at the time, because Julius Randle all of a sudden was ascending to becoming a really good basketball player and the face of the Knicks.
Yeah.
So he wanted more playing time, I'm sure, internally, and probably bitching and complaining about it, and probably wanted to go somewhere else. And I have to say to you, I'm happy for that kid, because he was a local kid and he was drafted here and he wanted to be a Knick, and it didn't work out for him. So I'm kind of happy for him. I can't stand Tyrese Halliburton and the rest of these guys.
Sure.
But, for him, I'm happy for, because, when he was here and he got here, I was hoping that he was going to be a part of the turnaround. But unfortunately, he had already left before Jalen Brunson got here.
Yeah, and how about Halliburton thought he was going to get the most valuable player in the series and then didn't, and the camera was on him. That was an embarrassing moment for him. By the way, it was 100% Siakam. They got that right. I mean, the fact that Halliburton thought that he had won that award. Was he watching this series?
Siakam was in every game, involved in every game, offensively, defensively, and even though he didn't have a great Game 5, he was more noticeable by far than Halliburton was.
Oh, yeah. 100%. But, yeah, he stepped forward, big smile on his face, and Pascal Siakam, sorry, not you.
It's amazing. OKC traded, I think, Russell Westbrook and Paul George, and they ended up with all these draft picks and everything else, and this guy, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in that trade. And here they are some 4 or 5 years later, and OKC is going to be loaded now for the next 10 years with the amount of assets that they have and the players that they have under contract and the room that they have under this first apron, second apron, third apron.
Couple aprons.
Freaking aprons are.
Aprons all over the place.
And it really sucks that we weren't able to keep Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yes, but the Knicks wanted to. It was just stupid, wacky NBA
That's
rules.
What I'm saying.
It was not their fault.
Yeah. He would have been the perfect guy.
Yeah, it's just no. I agree, but that's one I can't blame the Knicks on at all. It's not they wanted to keep him.
No, it's the NBA rules.
They would have paid him whatever to keep him. It just was so stupid that the Thunder could pay. It's like okay, so in some instances you could pay your own player more to keep him in the NBA, and then other instances the other team can pay them more so he goes somewhere else. It makes no sense. But, yeah, this is, I'll be listening to Jerry tell me how the NBA Finals goes, because I am now out. Sorry, don't care, not going to watch these teams huck up threes. And I can't even imagine this is going to be a good series, but whatever. It's unfortunate, but Would
you be surprised if OKC swept them?
No. I think that's sort of the consensus right now, that the Pacers are going to get killed. I don't see that. I think the Pacers are a little bit better than that. They got really no respect coming into this series. They're getting less
got no
respect
because they were playing New York, and the New York fan base and New York media, us included, I thought that the Knicks were going to win in 7, and I knew it was going to be a tight, a tight series. Unfortunately, Game 1 is where the whole thing got blown up.